And I even had this in college where, as a filmmaker, some of my friends would come up to me because they knew I was majoring in film, and they kind of, jokingly go, "He wants to make movies,"
I've changed my way of seeing things. It's for the better, I'm sure. This love that I'm feeling, I feel it more and more.
I'm Ray Robison, and actually I use the screen name Ray Nomoto Robison. Did that a while back, switched that over because when the internet came about, you could go and Google your name, and I discovered that my name was not showing up as the first Ray Robison out there. It was actually a Fox News commentator at the time would be the top listings of Ray Robison. So I wanted to add something in there that would make it a little bit more unique. So I added Nomoto, which is my mother's maiden name. It's not actually my my middle name. So I go by.
There she is, Willie. Just like clockwork. Good morning, Mrs. Harper. Mrs. Harper, would you like a cup of tea? Bridget Noon. Then some other time. You have a nice day.
I'm pregnant, and it's his. That's who I am.
Mrs. Williams, I've got great news. We found a buyer for your hotel. $1.4 million. Congratulations.
Would you like a cookie?
Any chance I could borrow it?
Give it a try.
On second thought, I don't think we'll be needing the tuna fish anyway.
What's that?
I bet your muffin tasted the best.
Oh, you don't say.
I bet your muffin tasted the best.
That little skinny feller sure has it bad for you. Old Skippy. Thoughts he was thinking about you? Woo-wee.
I can't believe I thought something so selfish. You're not a commodity. You're my little Jenna. I just wish I could have walked you down the aisle. The way I walked Marilyn down the aisle today. And the way I walked Lily down the aisle last year. And like maybe someday I'll walk Wendy.
Dad, come on. Mom sent me to get you.
Okay, Wendy. I'll be there in a minute. I promise.
Promise?
I promise.
You are not a selfish man.
Hello, Billy. I'm Dante. I'll be seeing to you.
What's going on? Where am I? How come I don't remember coming to this place?
This is difficult for many people to understand.
What?
You died.
Finally. Where am I?
In purgatory. Let's review your sin.
Have you ever been to Japan?
No, I've never been.
Yeah? Okay. If you were in Japan, I know a very good restaurant. Yeah, I'll take you.
Thank you. Well, if I'm ever there, I'll let you know.
Okay. There are no tire marks. Oh, it's like he didn't try to stop.
Or couldn't. Well, you probably need to get to the airport.
And actually, I started college my first year as a fine arts student, drawing and painting primarily. I did a little bit of sculpture, though I didn't feel I could handle that very well. But then I met someone that I'd gone to high school with, and he was going to another college. And he mentioned the program he was in, where he was studying photography, and he mentioned that it also had a film program, and I immediately just went, wow, film. It is like it never even occurred to me that that would be something that I could do. So I switched to that major, just feeling as though film was such a powerful medium in so many ways, but for me, from an artistic level, it was just so powerful with the way that it can move people, the way it can tell stories, much more than I felt the medium I was currently using could do. So anyway, that brought me into the world of film, and you know, it's been a rough journey. Even though I'm now officially retired from my day job, I continue to pursue this art, and I will probably do that as long as I can. Like so many people, when I got my degree, and this was up in Montana State University, I immediately went down to Hollywood, because if you go into film, you of course have to go to Hollywood or to New York. But I went down to Hollywood and very, very quickly decided that really I didn't want to live in Hollywood, that I definitely preferred a more rural lifestyle. And here in the Rogue Valley, I don't consider it to be really rural, what I define as rural, but it's definitely a smaller town vibe here, and I enjoy that. So basically, you have this idea of what your career is going to be, and a big part of that is working in the industry, and working in the industry, especially back then, in the 70s, would have been going to the big city, going to Hollywood. And when I discovered I did not want to live in the big city, it really changed everything for me. It was like, okay, what do I do now? I have all these dreams, I have all these goals, and now I essentially am looking at not being able to accomplish those because of where I've decided to live. Fortunately, I did get a job at a TV station in Great Falls, Montana, primarily making TV commercials. And so there was that opportunity for me to start working in the biz. And I had some great mentors there, worked with a lot of really good people. But it was a great learning experience, and I continued doing television commercials for a lot of years following that. After leaving Montana and moving to Oregon, continued to do a lot of television commercials. And there's a certain amount of opportunity to be creative in television commercial production, but at the same time it is commercials. So there's a fraction there of being able to practice your artistry, but it is not truly allowing you to completely practice your art. And it wasn't until just like less than 25 years ago that it's sort of like another light bulb went on for me, was that I didn't go to film school to make television commercials and to do marketing videos and all that other stuff. And certainly I'm very grateful for having the opportunity that I had of making a career out of that. But I really wanted to make my own films, and that's when I decided that's what I should do. So I jumped into doing that, really without any money, and got a film made, a feature film made.
Now I lay me down to sleep.
Who are you?
I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
Why are you doing this?
Mary, I can't. He's my son. We'll just take him to a place where he can't hurt anyone.
If I should die before I wake,
finish it! Or are you gonna stand there and watch me bleed to death?
No, Mother. I have something much more stimulating.
I pray the Lord my soul to take.
Get me out of here!
It's not gonna work. Robert doesn't think like you and I. Robert's different.
God bless Mommy and Daddy and Big Brother too.
Now, just where do you want it?
I just don't know anymore. Nothing! You're dead. I saw you die.
Especially Big Brother.
Got a film made, a feature film made. It really went nowhere for a long, long time. And, one of the things in all this and all these years is to kind of put perspective on the technology and what's been going on back then. When I made this film, you couldn't show anything in a film festival unless it was on film. I did create this first film on mini DV, so digital format, probably the first digital movie made in the Rogue Valley, a feature-length film anyway. So I made that, and I was going to try to get into film festivals, try to get distribution, but that of course is very, very difficult. And I heard about this new thing on the internet called YouTube. So I figured, well, I can use this to sell this first film. So I started making copies of some of the clip scenes from the film, and I would put it up, and then I put an ad someplace. I can't remember where it was, but it may have even been Craigslist, but I think this might have been before Craigslist. But basically, I was getting the word out that I was trying to sell this independent film I'd made, and I actually got somebody. Oh, it was eBay. It was eBay. I put it on there for auction with a minimum bid of $3,000, and this was like 2003, I suppose. And somebody actually bid on it, and I discovered it was an East Coast small-time B-movie distributor. But they bought it, all rights to it, and they still have it out there actually circulating. But that was sort of the start of it for me, and even though I didn't get all my money back that I spent making it with that $3,000, it just gave me hope again, and then things moved forward a great deal from there. One of the things I realized as I started doing this is, I mean, I guess what's strange, and I even had this in college, where as a filmmaker, some of my friends would come up to me because they knew I was majoring in film, and they kind of, jokingly go, "He wants to make movies." Like this was a ridiculous goal. I can't believe, who would want to do this for a career? Because it's just not realistic to believe you can make a career of making films. It goes to the whole, if you go to art school, it's like, yeah, but what are you going to do for a living? Because those kinds of things don't happen. And when you're making TV commercials, when you're working and you're getting a paycheck for it, that's all great. But once you start stepping into this idea of I have this script and I'm going to make this film, then you get that same look. Especially back then. It's changed a lot, and I think a lot more people are aware of that it's very possible to make a film and get it out there someplace. But back then, it was like, are you crazy? You're going to make a film? This is, how are you going to make money from it? How are you going to do it? They just had a tough time believing you when you said that you're going to make a film, or really connecting with that. So with that first film that I made, I was too shy. I was too not confident enough that I did not approach my friends for help. It was like I wasn't going to it was almost like I was keeping it a secret to myself. But I needed help, of course. I needed actors. I needed crew help, even though I didn't need a huge crew. But I was reaching out to people I really didn't know. I was very tiptoeing around the whole I'm making a movie idea. After I got the first one done, I became a little bit more bold about just letting people know what I was doing, to not be embarrassed about something I shouldn't be embarrassed about, because of the way people react to it. It's like, this is what I want to do, so this is what I'm going to do, and people may go, oh, making a little movie. I'd hear that. He's making a little movie, things like that, and you just, it doesn't feel good, but you if you have the passion, you just do it, and you don't worry about what people are thinking or people are saying. So you just move forward, and I got that first feature film done, and I got it sold, having lost a bit of money, but I started to see that there was that potential. I still had the passion to make another film. So the next one I made, a feature-length one again, I wrote myself, basically writing with the idea that I knew I had hardly any money to make it, so trying to control the size of the cast and the locations and all that. So I got that one made, and that one finally, and it wasn't, it was because times were changing, and then when I got the second film done, Sixes, by that time you could get a film into a film festival without having it transferred to film, which is a huge expense. So at that point, finally got my first film festival selection Dances with Films in LA. Thank you very much. And one of the beauties of that film festival is, I hope it still is this way, is essentially they're very supportive of the independent filmmaker that doesn't have that backing of a celebrity, big bucks, whether it be in front of or behind the camera. That's one of the things they look for, is they look for films that are being made by true independents that don't have that advantage of a celebrity or big money involved. And that really started the ball rolling for that film. Got into a number of other film festivals after that. And then we finally, well, I did get a distribution on it, had a couple extra distribution offers for that. Certainly not that those have turned into big money-making deals, but the money keeps trickling in. In fact, I just got a check from a deposit for sixes from the distributor for the first quarter of this year for $6.75 or something like that. So, you know, but not doing this for the money, but it is nice to know it's being seen out there. So then I did another feature, Vampire Camp, and it really started rolling also into short films. And at that point, I moved a little bit away after Vampire Camp, you know, with getting distribution on that and seeing what happens there. I started moving more into short films and film festivals, and have had a lot of fun with film festivals. It's been a lot of fun going and showing your work that way. But even at this point, I think I'm seeing myself transition away from that as well. So I think throughout all of this, you continue to grow, evolve through your process, what you're making, why you're making it, what you want to see come from it. I guess a lot of people would consider me to be a thriving artist, and that's nice. I mean, I like that idea. For artists to thrive, it takes a lot of support from a lot of people, but perhaps mostly from yourself. You can't be held back by everything else around you, and then there's so much more from the attitudes of people to money to resources. To be a thriving artist, you have to just envelop yourself with everything that it takes to create the art that you want to take, and to be willing to overcome those obstacles, because there's so many of them. You know, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes to have that drive, to have that passion, you even kind of look at yourself and go, God, I wish I wasn't so driven to do this, because it's not easy. But you know, it's sort of like you have an addiction and you can't stop yourself. You want to keep creating. And I don't know what that is in us that makes us that way, but definitely I know that I'm that way. You know, it is what I want to do and what I know I will continue to do. We are all a part of that community of thriving artists, whether we're directly are the artists or just supportive of the artists. And that's what I hope for a lot of people to see and understand, is that there's so many opportunities to be helpful in this world, but supporting the arts is one of those, and that's really a decision that I made back when I was 18, deciding what I was going to do with my life, as so many people graduate from high school will do, is, okay, what do I do now? And I had to kind of make that decision of doing something worthwhile in the world, and that's when I concluded that art is very worthwhile in this world, because to me, without art, then what is the value of life? Advice I'd give is if you're looking to go into whether it be filmmaking, really, or any art form, and what I find interesting is that I probably would not have given this advice 5 years ago, but 5 years ago I said, oh, you know, especially if you're going to do filmmaking, I support the idea of going to film school and doing that. But to be an artist, it really is not possible to do that as an employee. I mean, yes, if you are so well known, admired that you know people are just going to hand you money. If you're Quentin Tarantino, you know, it's a different situation. But for most of us, 99.9% of us, it really isn't possible to work for whatever company and have the kind of creative freedom that you want as an artist. So the reality in all this is that you're going to have to do it on your own. So trying to make a living through your art is not 100% possible. There are certain jobs that can act as great training grounds, can give you a lot of experience, but none of them really fulfill what you want as an artist. So my advice to you is just keep in mind that those are two separate things. There's your job and there is your art. And if you're going to achieve your art, you're just going to have to go out and do it on your own.
I've changed my way of seeing things. It's for the better, I'm sure. This love that I'm feeling, I feel it more and more. Found God in the sunshine. She just sat there and held my hand. And now her eyes closed, breathing. I'm learning to understand. I fill my body with air when hate was like this beauty. Finally kiss me. The key for me is focus. I need to tune my mind into light. 'Cause I'm constantly trying to soul life. I'm both red and blue in this fight. But when I fill my body with air I know this darkness wouldn't even miss me.
Into the lens?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just stare at the red light.
Okay, good, because I don't see a red light.
Oh.
I'm sure there's one there someplace.
Back here.